We are in the brand new FL Studio 21 here, and as you can see, I already changed my skin. If we go to options and then theme settings, we can change our skin to whatever we want now. If you use this or any of these light colors, there's something wrong with you, but I think we're gonna stick with dark orange, what we originally had. But anyways, so the first step to these Metro Boomin kind of style of beats which he made on Heroes and Villains is to get a sample of some sort. In like a lot of his beats, especially on his last project as well, he used a lot of samples and then later switched them up into his actual beats, which I really like. So I have this loaded up in here. What I did is I just went to YouTube. And I just looked up vintage soul, and then I just went to this first thing that popped up here, and then I just went through all of these here until I found one that I like, and it was this number 6 one, the Jones Girls Love Don't Ever Say Goodbye. That's the one that I got. Then I went to YouTube to MP3, went to this one, just pasted the link, got an MP3 of it, and then I got it into FL Studio. So after you have your entire sample, of course you're not going to use the whole sample from the beat. I mean, maybe you will, I don't know. I don't think anybody will do that though. So what you want to do after this is you just want to pick a specific part of the sample that stands out to you that you want to include within the beat. So for me, it was this part right here. I just got this part until, we'll just say there. Right there. And what I did is, I don't want to play this because I might get copyright strike. I don't know if I will, but I just pitched it down 400 cents, and then I went and routed it to channel something. I routed it to channel 2, and then I got some parametric EQ on it. I just took out some of the low end and the high end, and then I added some reverb to it as well. And then after doing that, this is what I got here. Anyways, that was the sample that I got, and what I did is, as you can see, I have it right over here. What I did is I did a little fade in with it. I added some parametric EQ. I added this little shaker thing. So what I did first was I adjusted it to get on tempo, so my tempo's on 70, and that matched perfect with the rest of the beat that we have here that I'm going to show you guys later. Then after that, I added some effects, like I added some fade in and fade out, which is really easy with FL Studio 21 now. Like, you can just grab this here and just fade it into what you want, which is nice. Added some parametric EQ, and then I added this shaker here, which I also faded in. Kind of wanted to add a little bit of rhythm to it, so this is what the shaker sounds like. Just kind of fades in. Then I added that vintage verb that you guys saw me use earlier, and then I added some of this stereo separation as well. These are all just automation clips, but this is a preview of what that sounds like just in the beginning, like as soon as the song would start, for example. But that immediately just sets its kind of self off as like this like warm soul vintage kind of sound. And now after having that like sample that starts off in the beginning, you can start to move on to step 2. So what Metro does in a lot of the samples that he uses is he'll add this little thing that I'm sure a lot of us know about in FL Studio, which is SliceX. Pretty much what you can do is you load your sample in SliceX here, and then you can chop it up to whichever way you want. Then you can add notes to it to add like your own rhythm and pattern with the sample. So pretty much a lot of this with SliceX just comes to experimentation and thinking about what sounds best in your opinion. But I just loaded up the whole sample. As you can see, I didn't really add many markers. I just added 4 of them. That's it. And from doing that, I got these right here. And I only used 2 of them. I didn't even use the rest of them. But this is what it sounds like in total when I chopped up the whole thing. I thought that had a nice rhythm to it, and it kind of had like a dark vibe as well. And if you guys know Metro, he always makes those dark beats. So after you chop up your sample to how you want it, then I think you need to add more melodies, especially if you want to create like a whole new switch up and a different tone with your beat. You just need to add more melodies. So the first thing I did was I went to Piano Tech 7 here, and I didn't get a piano. I just got this church bell that plays. Just the same note over and over again, really simple. And then if you look at this part right here, this is actually another melody. And that is just a piano. These are the piano chords that I made. I'll just play this for you guys. And what I did was I just half-timed those chords pretty much, and that's it. I added some half-time, some parametric EQ to cut out that low end. Then I'll just play what we have in total right now. As you can see, it doesn't exactly start on the 9 where it's supposed to start right there. That's because the sample, like, it's delayed a little bit. So the whole beat is just like slightly delayed. But as you guys will see, like in the final beat, it's all on time and everything. It's just a little bit off to where it's supposed to be. Here's a snippet of what we have in total with the sample chop, the piano, and the church bell. After doing that, I just got Contact, and I got the same chords as I got with the piano, and I got this guitar in Contact. Kind of a distorted guitar with a little bit of tremolo on it. Then after that, I went to this plugin called Many Bass, and I got this jazz pick guitar. It's just a bass guitar, and I got this pattern with it. Change the velocity to make it sound a little bit more realistic. And that pretty much right there was our whole switch up from the sample itself to a different melody. And this is what we have in total for that. So once I got all of those melodies down, that's when I wanted to just focus on the drums. And if you guys know Metro Boomin and a lot of his work, he just uses really simple drums. Like, he doesn't really add much to it at all. So the first thing I got was this snare here. Just got this basic pattern. Next thing I got was this hi-hat. He uses this hi-hat, like this high-pitched hi-hat, in a lot of his beats. And as you can see, it's really simple. I didn't really add like many spaces, no rolls at all. I just added these triplets and a little bit of a like note change right here, and some velocity change as well. Next thing I got was this stomp. Just plays 3 times, all fading out. And then here's where you kind of start to establish your bounce. Once you add that kick, then you can start to get a bounce down with this. Next, I added this open hat for a little bit of a switch up here. You have a little bit of velocity change and just a note change that goes down to this G sharp here. As you can see, a lot of these sounds are just basic hip-hop trap sounds. It's not like anything really unique. It's just the main thing is just getting that basic bounce down. Then lastly, the last thing that we added, I believe, was this 808 here. And this just kind of finished it off right here. It's just a little bit of a boosted spins 808. But here's what the drums sound like in total. Oh, and then, shit, I forgot about this. This is just a snare that I added. But anyways, if we listen to the entire drum pattern, this is what we have. So once you have all these components and elements to this in total, you pretty much finished your entire beat. The last thing that you have to do is just add whatever like unique effects or crashes and stuff that you want to your beat. And one thing that Metro does a lot, and which I did in this as well, is I add like a kind of transition from the beginning sample to the switch up in the drums. So to do that, I first added my tag like right before the drums and everything. But what I did is I did a little fade out right here with the beginning sample itself. So it just goes like this. And then I added this FX here that leads straight into the drums. So that just kind of like goes like a fade out and then just fades right back in. And then these are the last two things I did to kind of add a transition effect to it. These are just two drum fills. But I just thought that that was the perfect transition. It's not too overcomplicated, and the drum fills really help to add that effect as like leading into something else. And then lastly, for the outro, I got that shaker back in there, and then I added that drum pattern at the end. I was thinking about using like the same beginning sample and adding it to the end, but I couldn't really find a transition for that. But I think that if you add like the beginning sample at the end of it, which Metro does a lot as well, then that could be really cool. But as always, which I do with a lot of my beats, I also fade out the volume from the master as a whole, so it all just kind of just fades out everything at once. But after doing all those steps, you should have something pretty similar to this, but in your own version and your own way. Of course, add your own unique, like I said, effects or unique like drums that you want. It doesn't have to be exactly like Metro's style, but this is a beat that I made that I thought came out pretty similar to what he would add on Heroes and Villains. And now we can finally listen to the full beat. Let's take a listen.
Lucent.